will make a quick opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, welcome everybody. After got back to work on this Sunday in preparation for Oklahoma. Just a quick recap of the TCU game we played on Saturday. I really want to commend our players because last week was a tough preparation week in that. The weather wasn't the best. Getting ready for a tough opponent. Went outside. Our players handled it very well mentally. Went out and put in good days of work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and thought the team was really focused and had a good week of practice. Believe that showed on game day in terms of being able to come out of the locker room ready to play against a very tough TCU team. A team ranked very high that deserves to be ranked that high because Coach Patterson and them have a really good team that's playing at a high level. But our team was able to come out and ended up with a halftime lead. Unfortunately, second half weren't able to finish the game. But we did have several players that had very good performances and played an exceptional level for us. Our offensive player of the games were Nigel King at wide receiver and Jermaine Mendine on defense. Tadarian Johnson was our player of the game, and on special teams, Darius Crawley. Obviously in the Big 12 it doesn't get any easier. Another challenging week with a trip down to Norman, Oklahoma to play the Sooners. Very talented team, on both sides of the ball, special teams, a talented roster across the board. A team that's very well coached. I've been fortunate to know Coach Stoops, on a limited basis, know him a little bit, but several run-ins with him. Tremendous amount of respect for his body of work for a long time, going back from when he was a defensive coordinator and had the best defenses in the nation year after year after year, and then to have the success that he's had at a Big 12 school for as long as he's had, and to continue to keep Oklahoma where their program is amazing in the landscape of college football today. So what he's accomplished is, due to a few other guys on, his staff, but his hard work and his body of work is very impressive. On defense, Mike Stoops, another, great defensive coach, has his players playing hard and playing physical, and this is a defense that'll get after you and make you have a bad day. Offensively, Oklahoma has been, kind of the tops of offense for a while. They're an innovative group. They were, if you go back to, as far back to 2008, they were one of the true first tempo teams in terms of that team rattling off 50 points a game. And, each year they adapt to their personnel and they're able to put an offensive plan together that fits their players, and it's always very effective. So, a tremendous challenge for us, a game that we look forward to, a chance for our team to go down and play in a great college football environment, and we're looking forward to the opportunity. So, any questions?
Talk about commending the players after TCU. Is it hard to find a balance of giving them the credit and letting them know how proud you are of them and showing them that this is the expectation for a Big 12 team?
It is. The bottom line is that we lost the game, and that has to be the story, is that we lost, and a loss is never acceptable, and that's not what you go to do. We have talked about that our expectations are that we're Big 12 football players playing in the Big 12 conference, and when you step on the field, you expect to win. You do everything possible in your power to win. Unfortunately, on Saturday, we just didn't have enough to pull that off, but the preparation continues, and our players continue to improve each week, and I think our development is starting to show up, and I think our players are seeing positive results from their hard work and the improvement on the field. So it keeps them motivated and keeps them going. But the bottom line is that they understand that we lost the game, and that's never easy.
Clint, with Oklahoma, they've always been kind of spread and throw it around, but it looks like maybe they've shifted to more running game here in that second half. How does that, with a defensive coordinator, how do you prepare for that?
Well, it does. At times, sometimes you would, you'd like to know exactly what your opponent's going to do. You like to know that from week to week, what you see on film is what you're going to get on Saturday. Obviously, Trevor Knight, who has been their quarterback, gets injured, and Coach Stoops has announced that he's not going to play this week, and Cody Thomas stepped in there for him. The first half they had stayed true to form offensively of what they had been. They didn't have a tremendous amount of success in that first half against Texas Tech, and they came out and ran the ball extremely well out of some different personnel groupings in the second half. And they are a very physical offense. The offensive line, very big and physical group. They have the running back. Don't want to mispronounce his name. Don't want to make this guy mad. Samaj, they got him and Alex Ross both running the ball very effectively. The two tight ends, I think they're the fullback, 48. That guy's as good a fullback as we've had in the conference in a while. He's a head thumper, and they ran the ball very well. So they have, and that's kind of what I talk about offensively, and it shows the diversity of OU's offense that in the course of one game they can switch identities in a hurry and have equal success. I don't know the second half exactly how many points it was. I think 30-some points in the second half to close a game out and turn a game that they were losing into a game that they were comfortably ahead.
And Clint, does it change your preparation at all with the quarterback change here at Oklahoma?
Not as much. They are both both similar guys, and that the guy they brought in has athletic ability. He was a part of that running game. They had a lot of QB run game in the second half of that Tech game where he was he was getting around the edge and doing some things. So he's a good athlete as well. They seem to be similar in that skill set. Obviously, Trevor Knight was probably had a better command of the offense in general just due to experience. But in terms of bringing in a guy, they brought in a guy who really can do similar things with it. The bigger part of the equation is what 11 total are they going to put on the field? They're going to be, the big guys that they finish the game in Texas Tech, or are they going to be more with the three wide receivers that they had been during the season?
Got a nice mix of young and old offensive linemen up front. After watching film on Saturday, how would you say the line graded out against TCU's front seven?
Well, I thought they did a nice job, and you're right. We do have everywhere from a true freshman and junior in there to seniors like Pat and Smithburg and then Joe's a little bit in between there, and Larry's in between. So they did. I think they're all starting to play better as a group. I think they're starting to work together and communicate better as a group, which is helping them get a hat on a hat at all times. I think their fundamentals have improved. They're in that game where we didn't have any of the obvious runaways with a guy coming free. We were making TCU's guys earn them, beat them around the line, and gave Michael a little bit more time to throw the ball and get downfield.
You talked about your team's understanding that, hey, we still lost the game, but confidence-wise, it has to elevate the confidence. And these two teams that you have left to play, starting with this week, are obviously tough, but does it help the team to take more confidence into those types of games, and you think you will?
Yeah, and I think the confidence comes on a couple different fronts. One, I think it provides confidence in that they know now that if they show up and work during the course of the week and they prepare, that they have confidence in the system and the way that things operate and what we're doing to get them ready for games. It's confidence in what we're telling them. If they carry it out, we'll have results on the field. And I think it is also confidence that they lined up against a team that quite frankly everyone thought that was going to kind of steamroll them over. And I don't think our players felt that way, but that's the outside perception. And and let's call it TCU's a good team, and I think it proved at a lot of different positions. Our guys held their own, made plays against that type of competition. So I think it does validate a lot of things that we've been telling them that, hey, you guys belong here. You were recruited here to Kansas for a reason, and you're right where you belong, and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and looking ahead, not to get too far ahead, but you talked about matching TCU's physicality, and it sounds like you were pretty pleased with how that went. Same thing with OU and that running game you just talked about, and then obviously K-State too in the future. I mean, does this match up well for you guys down the stretch too, just because you like physical games?
Well, I'd hope to. From the first day I stood up here, I said, the one of the things that we have to do is be able to match teams' physical play, because that's what this conference is. People around the nation, want to say that this conference is a spread, wing it all over the field, kind of that type of mentality. But that's not what this conference is. There's plenty of teams in this conference that'll hit you right at the line of scrimmage, and and big boy if they can. And Oklahoma is one of those teams that'll do it. But most of them are. If you can't match the way a team plays physically, then a lot of things that you try to do just never look very good. And so that's a weekly challenge for us, and it's hopefully our players are starting to grasp that until we can fight back and win the physical part of games, not a whole lot else matters.
What's been the biggest key to Nigel's recent success?
Well, I think it's a few things. I think it's a conscious effort to get him the ball on the coach's part of things. I think it's we referred to earlier the offensive line playing better, giving Michael a little bit more time. I think it's Michael and him developing some chemistry and some trust in each other to get the ball to him. And then, quite frankly, it's a lot of Nigel just going up and making some pretty special plays. So I think it's a combination of those things.
How is Michael, injury-wise, health-wise?
He's good. We are a lot farther ahead this week than we were last week. So I feel a lot better this time this week than I did a week ago.
Is that toughness, too, to get through it during the week? Because obviously some of that toughness hanging in the pocket or getting up after you've been knocked down or just the mental toughness that he shows out there that you've talked a lot about. But is this toughness kind of overlooked or overrated or underrated, I guess, in his case?
Yeah, I would say it's underrated. This time of year in college football, if you're playing, there's parts of your body that don't feel right, and that's every player, every team that's had a substantial role on their team throughout the year. And if you're one of those guys that can't handle that, then college football is a rough business for you. And Michael's obviously proving week after week that he's a pretty tough guy, and you can count on him to go out there and battle through some of the discomforts that come with football.
Well, can you talk about the season Janae's having, and what are his chances of playing on Sundays?
Well, he's having a tremendous year. I think it's been fun to watch him kind of come out and finally display the type of talents that we've seen him have for a while. And once again, that's another conscious effort to get him part of the game plan, because he is a talented young man. Some of those catch and more importantly the run after the catch that he's displaying shows a lot of athleticism on his part. His opportunity at the next level, I don't know where that's at. Obviously, I think he's a pretty special kid, and where football is going in general, those guys who can do more than one thing in terms of being blockers, runners, after the catch, receiving guys. There's places for that, obviously, and a tremendous young man, and wish him all the best and hope that it happens for him.
Knowing what you know about him, and I know you didn't spend much time with the offense prior to recently, but are you surprised it took him this long to kind of have this breakout? Because the tight end position's kind of been his for a while now, and he's been that same guy, that matchup guy, that athletic guy. Do you think it was just the senior thing that really kicked it into high gear for him?
Well, I think he has continued to improve. He's been in the program, like I say, known him for a long time. Actually, we recruited Janae before I left here. We actually recruited him as a linebacker. Our corners coach Janae Jackson went down to Dennison's, actually, who recruited him, and we had him pegged for the defensive side of the ball back at that time, and then obviously he switched over. But I think part of it is that when we made some changes on the offensive, thoughts and the offensive way we were going to run our offense. I always, every week we go to defend people, you see their best players get the ball quite a bit, and we're sitting here in my mind and other offensive coaches, we knew Janae was one of our more talented guys, but yet wasn't getting the touches. And when you have a special guy, you gotta get them in the game and get them to be a part of the game so that they can affect the game.
You probably don't need much right now, but in the big picture of it all, he's a semifinalist for that Mackey Award, and that's got to help any program, but especially a program like this where those things aren't happening every year.
Oh, absolutely. One, we're extremely excited for him because he's earned it and deserves that award, and we want all our players to get all the recognition that they deserve. And of course, it helps our program. It proves that you can come to Kansas and still be a well-known, in this case, nationally known player if you take care of your if you go out and make plays and do the things you're supposed to do. So it just points out that Kansas football is relevant in the college landscape.
Nalu's not on here. he didn't play last week, obviously, but still same deal.
No, Nalu will be done. Unfortunately, Nalu will be out for the remainder of the season.
And then that transitions into junior. He's the guy now. You liked what he did 2 weeks ago. How about last week? I mean, different circumstances, obviously, but did he stand up again to that challenge?
He did. He went in there. Handled the game mentally and physically well. And Nalu is a big physical kid. You talk about for a true freshman kid, of his size. But I think the thing that's most pleasing is that he's handled it mentally. He hasn't let the game get too big for him. And and that he competes and fights. It's pretty easy to go in there and line up, and Big 12 football game. You see a opponent that has the reputation that TCU has, and some guys let that affect their minds a little bit. And Junior's been mentally tough enough to battle through that and actually and play very well.
Any other questions?
I just got one more. I know you don't like to talk about yourself in this whole coaching situation, but when you hear, and I don't know if you even did hear him, but Gary Patterson had some nice things to say about you being deserving of this opportunity. Obviously, Coach Mangino did the week before that. What do those mean to you? I mean, regardless of what they mean to the job and what's going to happen there, what do they mean to you personally when you hear that stuff?
Well, personally, those comments do actually mean stuff. A guy like Coach Mangino, who has been so helpful in my career. For those that have anytime someone says something positive about you, obviously you notice, and it means a lot. They took the time to say those things and felt them, and so someone of Gary's stature, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for in this business, for what he's accomplished and what I know his football mindset is, so you always appreciate if someone says something kind about you, and for Gary to say that, and for where he's been and what he's accomplished, and honestly, I didn't make any secrets about it. I've followed TCU and admired what he's done, so it's I thought that meant a lot to me.
Does it, you're obviously full of confidence. You always have been and have been throughout this process here, but does it validate anything for you? I mean, does it make you feel like, man, I guess other people are noticing that I can do this thing?
As a coordinator, you're thrown pretty much in a similar role to what the head coaching job is. It's just half the team instead of the whole team. And I feel like for years now I've been able to rally a defense to get guys to play hard and to do the things that do things right and do the things that help us win games. So I think this here just increases the role of kind of what I've had for a few years now. Just instead of half the team, it's the whole team.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.